All right, welcome back, man. You made it to this part in the process. How you feeling?
I feel a lot more confident, just getting the basics out of the way, and builds your confidence when you kind of feel like you already know with some of the stuff of what's going on, and so a good little refresher that's there.
He's confident right now, but we haven't even covered like the meat and potatoes yet.
I've been in shipping for years, so hey,
I mean, video one, we just shared your story, so you better be confident in your story. What we're going to be covering right now, I've got some notes here, but Paul, there's going to be a lot of stuff. This is going to be a long video. This is going to be a long process for everybody watching. If you're looking for that 5-minute fix, you better move on to another video because this thing is going to be long. We're going to talk about analyzing books. We're going to talk about using Amazon Seller App, ScoutIQ. We're going to discuss a lot of the basics in terms of like, should you pick a book and buy it or should you pass on a book? We're going to talk about setting up triggers in ScoutIQ. We're going to talk about conditioning books. Breaking down the fees in terms of like how much fees are taken and like how to know if a deal is good or bad. We're going to talk about like risk and reward. For example, some people are willing to risk $2 to make $2. Mm-hmm. Would you want to do that? And that's not a biased question.
So I guess to me, like I deal a lot with stocks, and like, I mean, 2020 was obviously a wacky year, but typically like you're looking at like 10% over the year is a good return. So like that's part of the issues that I can run into with reselling is like not expecting enough of an ROI or just seeing it, and going, well, if I make 100% in 3 months, and I'm good with that. So
gotcha.
I don't necessarily just pursue like a home run. It's
gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to work some of this out with you. We're gonna run through some different scenarios. The next video, and I just want to set everybody up for it. The next video, we're sending them into the jungle. What do I mean by that? We're going to take a ton of books, put them into my living room, and we're going to try to replicate a thrift store. And the reason we might go to a thrift store later, but the reason I'm doing this versus bringing you into a thrift store, they're getting wacky over there with like filming. Everybody, they don't want to be on camera. Why don't you want to be on camera? No. There's music playing, YouTube violations and stuff. So I'm going to try to literally replicate the best scenario possible to pretend that you're outsourcing at a thrift store, garage sale, auction, library sale, wherever, right? So there's going to be a whole mix of good books and bad books. So the goal is for you to get to a point where I can bring you into the jungle and you can come out alive. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
I'm so weird. I can't help it. I got to make these videos entertaining somehow. So... Hey, what's up guys? So I want to take a moment real quick to shout out the sponsor for today's video, and that is Accelerlist. If you're going to be selling books online or you're going to be selling on Amazon, whatever you do, do not list through the Amazon platform. It's slow, it's inefficient, you can't track your profits when you're creating your shipments. I use Accelerlist. Now, I've been using Accelerlist for over 5 years, and I'll put a link down below to check out a free trial, but I'm telling you right now, it's quick, it's easy, it's efficient, and now Accelerlist also has a new feature which allows you to be able to sell through multiple channels. So for example, you can have your products on Amazon, but also on eBay, different platforms. And if it sells, for example, on eBay, then Accelerlist will automatically pull it off of Amazon, which is great because more eyeballs on your products means more sales for you. So again, big shout out to Accelerlist. I'll put a link down below to check out a free trial, but hopefully you guys are enjoying the video and talk to you soon. Where do we start? Let's start with the scanning apps, okay? And did I bring my barcode scanner? We don't even need the barcode scanner right now. We'll use that for the next video. If you want,
it's out on the counter.
Okay, if you want to grab it, Zach, feel free to grab it. You don't need a barcode scanner, but it makes things faster. But let's talk about the Amazon Seller app first. So do you have Amazon?
Yep.
On your phone? Okay, cool. So I do have a screen recording right now of my phone. There's a 50-50 chance that this could fail. So I'm gonna do the best I can to keep you guys, we're gonna try to put this on the video so you guys can see it. If it's not on the video, that means this freaking software stopped working. So I'm gonna do the best we possibly can. So I'm gonna have you bring up your main app. So if you go to your homepage,
All right.
so you're pretty familiar with this, right? So like for example, on this account that I have right here, this is the account that I use for a lot of the thrifting and different things like that. You could have multiple accounts. You have to get permission. So I have another account where we do like different things like wholesale and different things like that. I do not commingle like thrift store. I don't commingle like products that don't have like wholesale invoices on this account, because anytime you sell like books on Amazon, anything without a wholesale invoice, you are at risk. Remember I was saying in the first video, you can do everything right and you can still get in trouble?
Yeah.
So like you come from like somewhat of a retail arbitrage background, right?
Yes.
When you buy an item retail arbitrage, you're going to like a Target and buying an item. You don't have a wholesale invoice, which means if someone says that it's fake, there's no way that you can prove it, right? So you're kind of like ish out of luck. I mean, there's nothing you can really do. So I don't commingle those accounts. So this is my thrifting account right here. I just want to put that out there. Don't open up a second account without getting permission. You have to message Amazon first. Let's not worry about that now. But this is the main dashboard. So you can see your total product sales over the last 30 days. This is previous from the last 30 days because I haven't been doing a ton of thrifting on this account. So it's up 591%. You can see, this is your dashboard. This is where you can see everything in here. You could go into your account and you can check out, your inventory, your payments, your performance, all different types of stuff. I'm not gonna go too deep into this right now. You can play around with this, have fun with it. But on Amazon, you can check your daily sales. You can check, how many products you've sold, so on and so forth. In the top right-hand corner, you see a little camera sign?
Yes.
So that's where you're gonna click to scan. I'm sure you're familiar with this, right? Mm-hmm. You've used this before. So yeah. How you scan is there's a couple different ways. You can scan the cover, right? Are you familiar with?
Yeah, I've had to do that on several books.
Yeah, so you could scan the cover of a book. Amazon's got this little proprietary software where you could scan the cover of a book. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like 95% of the time, it'll pull it up. You can also scan the barcode of the book. This isn't gonna work because this barcode it's not like a legit barcode. So you have to find barcodes. Yeah, you could toss it over here if you want. Oh, come on, have some faith. Baseball player, man. You got to find like a legit barcode like this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there'll be multiple barcodes. You ever scan a barcode and like doesn't pull up?
Yeah.
I don't know what the other ones are, but you gotta scan the correct barcode. So that's how you scan books. Obviously, you could use this as well. I don't know. Will this work on Amazon? No, I don't think it works on Amazon. This is why I link it up with ScoutIQ. So for some reason, my Natamu doesn't work on the Amazon seller app. Oh, it does. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to me. So yeah, you can use this to scan the barcode as well. A lot of people ask, well, what if the cover doesn't read or the barcode doesn't read? Let me ask you, how would you be able to look up this item if you couldn't scan the barcode or you couldn't scan the cover? How would you look it up?
Just manually typing in the ISBN number.
Yep. You could type it in. Also,
titles.
Yeah. Also, sometimes inside you can use the ISBN number as well. So that's how you scan a book. Let's go into let's pick out a book that you want me to analyze.
This one?
This one right here.
This little manual?
We got the Chevrolet Corvette, 1984 to 1996. I actually used to own a Corvette, got rid of it. My midlife crisis. All right, cool. So when we scan the item, you're gonna see a bunch of different information. You're gonna see a rank, you're gonna see the reviews, the title, the picture, the offers, new, used, collectible. Eligibility, this is a big thing right here because some items you're gonna be restricted or they're only gonna let you sell it new or used, so you really wanna pay attention to that. There's really nothing else that's super relevant on this page. If you click where it says gross proceeds, 1237, this is where it'll break down the fees. Now, if you're selling as an Amazon FBA seller, you have to make sure this is clicked on Amazon Fulfilled. If you go here, this is as a merchant seller. These are the fees. So make sure it says Amazon Fulfilled. If you sell it for this price, Amazon's gonna take $8.21 in fees. I always estimate about 50 cents per pound to ship books. So when we actually get to the shipping stage, It's typically around 50 cents a pound. So if you send out 20 pounds of books, usually it'll be around $10. It's actually cheaper. It could be like 30 cents a pound. I put it at 50 cents a pound. And here's the cost of purchase. So if this book, actually, it's not going to let me, that's the downside of having your scanner attached to your phone. It actually thinks it's a keyboard.
Okay. Yeah.
So I might actually want to, let me see, will this undo if I hit that? No. Oh, what the heck was that? I don't know what's going on. Okay, so if I put in a $2 buy price, that's my profit, $9.87. So when you're looking at an item, when you're using the Amazon Seller app, which I actually don't recommend using, I recommend using ScoutIQ. I'll put, for people watching, I'll put a link down in the description for that. We have a free trial. ScoutIQ is much better. You'll see why. But that's pretty much it. You're going to see used offers and FBA offers. Do you know the difference between those two?
Well, just fulfilled by merchant versus the FBA.
So where it says 30 from 1896, that's 30 merchant sellers. Merchant sellers are people who ship directly from their house. They're not under the FBA program. They're selling it for 1896, and FBA is selling it for 2058. There's 5 sellers. Amazon, there's no Amazon on the listing. If Amazon is on the listing, you're usually going to have to go. I like to go like maybe like 5% less than them. Sometimes you can get more than them, but usually Amazon's going to take the buy box. So the way it works on Amazon is there's something known as a buy box, where if you go on a listing, you ever just hit like buy it now.
Right.
Well, somebody gets that buy box. Typically, they rotate the buy box equally among sellers. But if Amazon on the listing, they don't play very friendly in the playground. They like to take the buy box. So in order to get the sale, you typically have to undercut Amazon a little bit. So that's pretty much the interface of the Amazon Seller app. Is there any questions you have here with that?
Yeah. So the prices you had were at 2058. I mean, if you go in there and filter everything out, as far as prime, the condition that you're gonna be sending things in, I mean, is that more or less you're gonna be taking some extra steps, basically?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good question. So, we might as well go into condition right here. So when it comes to conditioning books, there's acceptable condition, which is usually like beat up. Mm-hmm. There's good, there's very good, there's like new, and then there's new, which is brand new. You can't change the description. Like you can't add a comment if it's anything other than, if it's anything outside of new. If the book's new, Amazon doesn't let you leave a description. It's new. New means it's brand new. It's on the shelf. It's what it looks like at the store. Acceptable is usually like if the pages are maybe all like crinkled up, or there's a lot of highlighting, or maybe there's some water damage or some issues with the binding. Maybe something serious, like if a page is ripped out. I usually wouldn't sell it if a page is ripped out, but anything like severely damaged is under acceptable. I don't love selling books acceptable because a lot of people, I feel like they don't even read the description. You know what I'm saying? Like you're playing with somewhat fire when you list books that are really, really beat up. My mom won't even pick them up. She'll pass on them 100%. I'm a little more risk adverse. I'll play with fire. Yeah. I don't mind getting burned now and then. But you got to be careful because it doesn't take much for your Amazon account to get kicked off if you start to get a lot of negative feedback. Sometimes you can fight the feedback. You can reach out to Amazon. They'll pull the negative feedback if it's not like a legitimate feedback. There's different rules and stuff. But when it comes to the various conditions, that's kind of how I do acceptable. Good might have a little bit of highlighting. Maybe it's got some shelf wear. Like this, I'd probably do good because it's kind of a little crinkled up on the side. I mean, this looks like it's in very good condition. Like the pages are very good, but I like to under promise and over deliver. So if I think it could get away with very good, I'll probably just go good. If I think I can get away with like new, I'll probably go very good. If I'm very, very confident it's like new and I'm like, I know I have no issues, I'll do it. But again, I like to under promise and over deliver in terms of my condition. I rarely list books as like new. Most of them are good, very good. But when it comes to pricing, like looking at this, one thing you want to do when it comes to pricing is you could click into that actual item. And if you scroll down, if yours is used, you can click under used These are all merchants because there's no prime. Where it says prime, that means the FBA seller. So the lowest is 2058. They're acceptable. And then 2059 is good. And then after that, it jumps up to 25. So there is a little bit of gap there. But one thing you're going to want to consider is the rank of the book. This is an 88,000 rank book, which means it's probably selling maybe like a couple times a day. If you go over to ScoutIQ and scan it, which we'll be talking about shortly. I don't know what's going on here. It's not working. Huh. No results found. Have you connected your Amazon account to our web portal? All right, we're gonna pause this video for a sec. My ScoutIQ just stopped working. Oh, here we go. All right, we're back in business right now. I don't know what happened. But if you use ScoutIQ, there's a number called eScore.
Okay.
So essentially that's data that's pulling from essentially Keepa, which is like a price tracking history. But essentially this means that this book has had 126 days out of the last 6 months with a recorded sale. So 126, so 6 months is 30, 60, 90, 180 days. So there's 100, so this is probably selling like maybe at least once every couple of days recording a sale. If this has 5 sales in one day, it's only going to record as one eScore. So there's been 126 days out of 180 days that there's been at least a recorded sale that day. So this thing's not selling like 20 times a day. Like if it was ranked at like 5,000, then the point I'm trying to make is maybe I would jump up to like $24.99. But honestly, with something like this, where the price isn't like that huge of a jump, even though the two lowest prices are acceptable, I'd probably just match the lowest price just to get the sale.
Okay. And so, well, with certain products, like if you sell other things on Amazon, in order to qualify for the buy box, it's got to be, done through FBA, as well as it's got to be new. But there is actually a buy box for used books then.
I'm gonna have to get back to you with that because I know they've changed some things up. Maybe some folks in the comments can help out there, but they're changing up the rules with the buy box. I felt like it used to be only FBA. I think it's changed.
Is it?
I'll have to get back to you with that answer, but I wouldn't honestly, man, like I want to keep this video, like I don't want people to get too caught up in the details. Like we're talking about books right now. Like honestly, as long as you're a competitive price, like you're going to rotate through. I think once you go more than, I think it's 5 or 7% outside of the lowest price, I think your ability to get into that buy box greatly reduces, I believe. Okay. I know it's that way with wholesale. I'm not sure how much this applies to traditional just products, but I would say if you're within 5% of that price, then you should rotate through. But also I wouldn't even worry like about the rotation with books, because if somebody's looking for like a very good condition, you're that next guy up, even though it's $10, like you can get that sale. So it's something to be cognizant of. And that's a great point that you brought up, is like, we see the 2058 right there. Like, should we match it? It really depends. It depends on how many sellers there are. It depends on the condition. It depends on the rank of the book. The rank is essentially a snapshot in time of the last time it sold. So this book is ranked 88,000 right now. By the time everyone's watching, if this book doesn't sell, it could go up to 140,000 rank. It just keeps going higher and higher without a sale. And then when it sells, it drops down. So based on like how often it sells, it'll drop down to a lower price and go up like quicker or slower. So Amazon does a good job at not telling you exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
But that's why I like to use ScoutIQ, which we're going to talk about soon, because it gives you more information with that eScore. Because think about it. 88,000 rank is just a snapshot in time. Okay, I could estimate, 88,000 rank, maybe it's selling 1 or 2 times a day, maybe more. If it was like 200,000 rank, maybe it's selling once every day, maybe once every 3 or 4 days possibly. If it's a 500,000 rank, maybe it's selling a couple times a week. If it's 1 million rank, maybe it hasn't sold in like a week or two. If it's 2 million rank, maybe it hasn't sold in a month or so. So these are just like estimates. These are kind of like, it's kind of like bro science guessing. I'm just like kind of guessing just based on my 7 years of experience, based on what I've learned from mentors of mine and whatnot. That's why I like eScore, because it gives you like a longer term view.
Okay, yeah, because, well, that's what I was wondering too, is like some of the textbooks that you have, like they gotta go way up in the rank when it's not that time of year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're just gonna come.
Yeah, and that's why I recommend, again, I'll put a picture on the screen of a Keepa chart. You want to, like when it comes to textbooks, I like to research them on the computer versus the phone, because then I could pull up Keepa. I'm sure you can do it on the phone as well, but I'm not that savvy. Because a Keepa chart will show you, like, it'll show you the, it'll show you a graph, and it'll have like the sales rank it'll show like the selling price. It's like a stock chart, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you're looking at stocks, sometimes you'll see like maybe it was up at $70 and now it dropped down to 12, and then like in 2015 it went up to 40, and then it went down to like 8. Like you're starting to get a feel for like how it's moving and stuff. It's a little different, right? Stocks versus books, because a lot of stocks aren't moving on like a seasonality effect to that great lengths, right? Mm-hmm. But a book could, because when it's textbook season, a book could shoot up to $80, and then outside of textbook season it could go down to 30. So you can see that with a Keepa chart. You're not really going to be able to see that using the Amazon Seller app. You're not really going to be able to see that, like that price jump with ScoutIQ. You can see more of like with the eScore, how many sales it's had over a period of time. So this is the Amazon Seller app right here. I want to show you guys ScoutIQ because I think ScoutIQ is much more powerful. With ScoutIQ, let's say we're at an auction. We're paying $5 a book, okay? Just gonna make it up. I'm not gonna use the scanner right now because it's gonna act as a keyboard. I want you to pick out a book. Any book, my friend.
Your dental assistant.
Cool. Actually, I'll have you scan it. Right down there in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh.
Oh, yep, right there. Yep, scan right over it. All right, so what we're looking at here is we spent $5 on this book. The eScore is 90, which means, putting you to the test.
It's sold at least 90 days.
It's had 90 days with a sale out of 180 days.
Okay.
What's the profit on this?
$15.05.
$15.05, and that's considering the $5 buy cost. Also, you can change your settings in ScoutIQ to have like the charge for like the shipping, 50 cents a pound or 30 cents a pound. The rank is, what is the rank?
116,000.
So with 116,000 rank, that's a good rank. I would say, for textbooks, if you're under a couple 100,000, that's pretty solid. If you're under 100,000, that's really good. If you're under 50,000, bada bing, bada boom, the profits are coming soon. That's what I'd like to say. 116,000 is a solid rank. 90 eScore, very solid. Let's see, what can we talk about here? All right, so I'm gonna actually have you ask me some questions.
Well, what's trade-in?
So sometimes Amazon will pay you outright for a book. Like they'll be like, all right, I'll give you $9 for it. Just send it to us. We'll give you $9. I don't do trade-in.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually you'll get more.
They're sourcing from you. Then.
Oh yeah, they're trying to pull one over you. Here we see that there's 19 new offers and 34 used. Now I want to come out right out of the gate and say, I'm not a huge fan of like reading certain data points on ScoutIQ. Like I like Amazon Seller app for certain things and I like ScoutIQ for other things. I don't like how it's laid out with like all A's for acceptable, good, like all, it starts at 30. Like this confuses me. It's always confused me. Maybe I'm just being dumb or ignorant. Like maybe I just never learned how to use this part properly. But the reason I'm using ScoutIQ is because when I scan a book, I want it to tell me, do I pick or pass easily? So you heard that? Da-ding! That means it's a buy. If I scan something maybe like this, I don't know if this is a winner or not. Let me see. You heard that? You heard the difference?
Yeah.
This is red, reject. 3.4 million rank. It's only had 3 sales over the last 180 days, 3 days with a sale. I'd only make $2.91. Well, why is it telling me reject? Because based on the rules, you can set up triggers inside of this app. What's a trigger? It's a rule. It's an algorithm. It's a set of principles that essentially is going to make a decision that says buy, pick, or pass. Like for example, I set up a rule to where if the book is ranked over a certain rank and the eScore is a certain eScore and the profit's a certain profit, then I'll pass on it. Because I don't want to buy any book that makes money. I want to buy books that are going to sell quickly. Like most of my books sell within a couple of months. I don't want to put up $5 to make $2.91. This could take like 9 months to sell. I don't want to do that. I don't want to risk my money for that. Like I want to find books that are going to move. Why did I buy this book? I don't know. I don't know why I bought this book. To be honest with you, some of these books are mama profits. We put all our books together for this project. So I don't know what she did, because I don't think I bought this book, to be honest with you. I don't want to throw her under the bus, but I don't know why this book was purchased. Even if it was half off and it was like $2, because you could change the price to $2 right here. It's still rejecting it. So honestly, what I like to do is just set up the automatic triggers. So when you sign up for ScoutIQ, it'll say just use the auto triggers. I just use their triggers. You can set it up to change like the rules and stuff of like the certain ranks that you want to use and like the e-scores. But the guy who built ScoutIQ is Caleb Roth. Like he sold millions of dollars worth of books. Like this guy's one of the smartest booksellers ever. So he programmed this for booksellers. This is why I don't use Scoutly. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I just never used it because like I have faith in the guy who built this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. This is a book that I wouldn't pick up. So it says the buy box is at $14.98. So that's what the price is that's rotating. And there's a buy box for used or new. The new is $19.99. Amazon's on the listing at $19.99. I don't love the interface that ScoutIQ has right here, but what I do love is the ability to scan it and it tells me to pick or pass. So remember, you have to put in the right price, okay? You have to put in the right price. So I'm actually gonna pause this video right here and we're gonna start a new clip. All right, we're back in action again because our camera says, you know what, at 30 minutes, you out of here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about ScoutIQ. What do you wanna scan a book or something?
Well, with any of this stuff with your rank, obviously you want that to go lower, your e-score, you want it to be as high as possible. But I mean, is there a way to set up parameters as far as like just profit percentage? I
don't think there's a way to set up profit percentage.
You're just going to run the math in your head, basically.
Yeah, but essentially what you're going to want to do is you could log on. I'm not sure if you could do this in your settings on your cell phone, but I know you could log on to ScoutIQ on desktop. And you could go and you could change all your triggers. I just literally use the triggers that he already set up because again, he made this for us. Like this isn't some like random guy in like another country who like doesn't know anything about the struggles that we're dealing with. Like he built this for us, but you could go onto the desktop. I'm not going to show it here because it's going to be like another 40-minute video. And I think that like I want to make this video like I don't want you guys to all like overthink things too much. Like it's going to be very easy to want to overthink things. I wouldn't. Just use the triggers he already has. That's like one of the number one questions I have on all my ScoutIQ videos is like, I want to do the custom triggers. Like I need to set up the custom triggers. Like honestly, just don't. Like it's just not worth it. Like what you want to focus on is learning about the e-score, learning about the rank, and making sure that you put in the correct buy cost.
Okay.
That's it. Like I wouldn't worry about it. But yes, you can go into your computer and you can change the parameters in terms of, okay, I'm going to make the app pass on an item that has an e-score less than 20 because I want to sell items within a month. I want to have a certain amount of profit. So it's not going to give you a profit percentage, but you could change in your app what the profit is going to be. The way it works is like inside of your computer, it'll say like, okay, 0 to 20,000 rank or e-score from 0 to 20. I want it to have a profit of X. If the rank is 500,000 to 800,000, I want to have a profit of X. So you got to realize that like profit is relevant to like the sales velocity. An item that has an e-score of 3 and I have to pay $2 for, like that could take 8 months to sell. I'm not going to do that for a $5, $6, $8, $10 profit because it may never sell. So, you know, it could be 20 to 30% of your books might never ever sell for one reason or another. So it's all risk versus reward. You want to manage that. Will I pay $2 to make $3, $4 profit on a book that's ranked 10,000? Heck yeah, because that thing's going to be flying off the shelf. I'm going to get my money back quick and I could reinvest it. Whereas if I have an e-score of 3, a 3.4 million rank, you know, whether I pay $2 or $5, that could take forever to sell because this is like one of the biggest issues that we all fall into with a reselling business is cash flow. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's you got to have your cash coming back to you quick enough so you could reinvest it. So only you're going to be able to make that decision, what that risk and reward is. But Caleb Roth, the founder of ScoutIQ, built the triggers they're very helpful. I can't mention what every trigger is right off the top. You'll have to look. But I went through the auto triggers and they were fantastic for the average person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, something like that anyways, with sitting around such a long time, like you're just giving more time for others, resellers, to go out and find the exact same book and then come in and underprice you. Too much can go wrong with that.
Oh, koi fish, baby. What you know about koi fish, Paul? I want you to tell me what you're seeing right here. Oh, and by the way, before you do, you can move this around. You can move this from 85 to 136 to 70. It'll automatically pull, let me scan that one more time. It'll automatically pull the appropriate one. So this is pulling it as 77.15 good. I'm gonna go over to the Amazon seller app. Let me scan that really quick. Because sometimes I don't trust ScoutIQ or even Scoutly, any of these third-party softwares. They're pulling from the Amazon API.
Okay.
They're pulling from Amazon's data, so sometimes it's not always super accurate, but you see how the lowest price is $77.15 right here. The merchants are at $70, and then it jumps to 72, and then the lowest FBA is 77.15, and then the next is 85.99. So there is a little bit of a jump right there. So you might be thinking, well, what do I want to price it at? What do you think the condition of that book is, Paul? I want you to open up the book. I want you to look around. I want you to ask me some questions as I enjoy this hot tea, which is slowly cooling. Zach.
Yeah, I'm going to at least say good, just because, you know, the book is nothing really wrong with it other than just tearing the dust cover.
Oh, okay.
But,
Yeah, I do see that little tear. Yeah, I think you'd be safe being conditioned as good. Would you be safe with very good as well? I think you would. Mm-hmm. Would it maybe help it to sell a little better if you did it very good versus good? Maybe a small percentage, maybe not. If you take a look at the competition, the lowest is at 77 at good, and then 85.99 is very good. The rank's 320, which means it's probably selling maybe once or twice a week, maybe more. It has 22 days out of 180 days, which has a recorded sale. So this thing's not moving super quick. So for you to price it like at 83, you're not going to be the first sale. Whoever buys it's probably going to go with the lowest one, most likely. Mm-hmm. So I would honestly just match the price.
Okay.
I would just match the price. You could undercut it by a penny if you want. If you do that and you let people know on YouTube, they're going to come for you. But either way, when you're pricing, you also have to be cognizant of the merchant pricing. Because you remember I told you in the first introductory video that there's usually a prime bump from merchant to FBA. Mm-hmm. You don't want to get too cocky. You don't want to, like, there's times where maybe the merchant is 25 and it's such a fast-selling book that the lowest FBA is 70, and you can get that. But if the book starts to become a little bit more longer tail, you know, the E-score is under 30, the rank starts getting, you know, above 6, 7, 800,000, it's a slower seller rank. You can't get as big as, you can't, and this is generally speaking, you can't get as large of a prime bump. Do you know what I mean by the prime bump? The difference between the merchant and the FBA?
Yeah, where they're able to take advantage of their Amazon Prime account.
Why are people paying more for FBA? 2-day shipping Prime. They think they're getting it from Amazon. No hassle returns, refunds. It's just the trust. It's the brand, right? Why are some sneaker companies able to sell you the same sneaker twice as much? It's all branding, it's all trust, it's all that relationship, that good feeling. So it's the same with that prime jump. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is just keep in mind, if your prime jump gets too big based on the E-score and the rank, the book might sit a little too long. Sometimes you have a book that's $30 merchant and you're at $89.99, the lowest price, you price it and you get it. In that example, maybe you want to go to Amazon and buy the lowest merchants and then sell it, right? I use a software called eFlip to do that. Also, sometimes I'll manually just buy. I buy on eBay as well. So there's all different types of opportunities there. A couple more things I want to teach you about ScoutIQ. So when you hit the scan feature, you see how there's the barcode, ISBN, and title? Mm-hmm. So title is kind of like Amazon's way of like scanning the cover. It really doesn't do a good job on ScoutIQ. See, what the heck's this? It didn't even pull up the right thing. I never use it on ScoutIQ. Caleb, man, we got to fix that title. ISBN, ISBN is the ability to open up the inside of a book. And let's see. Oh, check this out. You can scan over the ISBN. Pulled it up like that. Amazon doesn't have that. You can't scan the ISBN. So that's a really cool feature that that ScoutIQ has right there. One more thing I want to show you as well, to be careful with the ScoutIQ. So check this out. So you see how this says it's a good book to buy? I'll make 31 profit.
Yeah.
Again, this is just, it's trying its best to pull all the data directly from the Amazon API, which is like the Amazon Information Center. But if you go over to Amazon and scan this, it says you cannot sell this in used condition. So I'm restricted on this used, but it didn't pull up on ScoutIQ. So ScoutIQ will typically do a good job at letting you know if a book is restricted or not. It'll have a big R on it, but sometimes it'll miss it.
Okay.
Also, sometimes on ScoutIQ, you'll scan, like for example, you see how this had multiple listings? We were talking about it before.
Yeah.
The reason there's multiple listings is because third-party sellers like you and I can create listings. How do you create a listing? You just create a new listing, you add pictures, you add all the item specifics, and you can build a whole new listing out. I like rarely ever do it. Like I never do it with this type of stuff. I've done it before, but not with this. And sometimes there's some rules that apply. But sometimes you'll find like, you ever scan a book and there's like 10 of them and you're like, which one do I choose?
Yeah.
That was one of your big questions, right?
Yeah, where it's all down to the same thing. They're both paperbacks and it's just a difference in sales rank. Really
so exactly. So the one that I go for is obviously the one that's relevant. You always have to make sure if there's 3 or 4 listings, make sure you're choosing the listing that's either hard or soft. So if this is a paperback, this is hardcover. You have to go to the hardcover listing because you can't list a paperback under a hardcover listing, vice versa. Also, you see this one down here at the bottom? That's a digital ebook. So that's like a Kindle book. So that's not the listing, so ignore that. But what if we had 3 hardcovers, 2 million rank, 1.6 million, 150,000, all under hardcover? Which one would you list it under?
Probably the 150,000.
Yeah, it's the listing that is like ranking the highest for one reason or another. That's the listing that everybody's using. So that's the one that I would jump on. But you have to be careful. Also, sometimes there'll be different like, not models, but different book. Like sometimes like, how do I say it? Like maybe in 2019, they had this same cover, in 2020, the same cover, but the one before was like volume 1 and then the one volume 2. So one might be red and then the one might be blue. You have to make sure you're choosing the right cover because sometimes you'll have like 10 listings and it's like from 2016, 18, 20. They all look similar, but there's like a different, like it could be a different cover title or like maybe this has like a AP edition at the top. So you have to pay very, very close attention to when you are scanning books to make sure that you're jumping under the correct listing. Oh, now here's an interesting one. So why do I have this book when I'm restricted on all of them? Because this is my mom's. My mom, I don't know what Mama Profit. I think she's, real good friends with Jeff Bezos or something. She's got a fully ungated, unrestricted account where she could sell any textbook. It's super rare. I feel like 1% of people had it. I used to have it and now I'm restricted on certain textbooks. So this textbook right here, you see how it said restricted? Mm-hmm. Right here, restricted. That means I can't sell it. What do I do in that example? I'll send it to restrictedinventory.com. So this is my buddy. He runs a service. So this right here, I can make $20 profit, but I can't sell it. So I'll send it to him. He'll sell it for me, and we'll split it 50-50. So if you come across restricted books that are really profitable, just send it to Avery, restrictedinventory.com, and he'll sell them for you on his account. or you could put it on eBay, but this might not go for 30 bucks on eBay.
Right.
So be very careful of that. Again, check your eligibility if you click that. This product cannot be sold anywhere. This isn't similar to DVDs. You can't get ungated in these. Like when you're restricted, you're pretty much restricted in textbooks.
Yeah, I notice like sometimes you're restricted in used, but you can actually sell it new. It kind of goes opposite of what you'd think, but
exactly. So I'm gonna switch over to ScoutIQ. With ScoutIQ, you can put your headphones in, and you can just hear the sound effects go off, right? Da-ding or beep. Beep, it means pass. Da-ding means buy. So what I usually do is I scan through them all. I'll collect a pile, and then I'll double check them with the Amazon Seller app. Why am I double checking with the Amazon Seller app? Because sometimes ScoutIQ, you remember how I told you there could be like 6 different listings? ScoutIQ is doing the best it possibly can to pull the correct listing, but it's automated. So sometimes it pulls the wrong listing. Same with ScoutLead, same with all of them, any third-party app. There's pros, but then there's small cons. The pros outweigh the cons big time. So that's why I'll always use ScoutIQ. But sometimes, even I have books that I find after a competitor leaves the thrift store and I find it's because they're using ScoutIQ or ScoutLead and they're not double checking with the Amazon Seller app. And sometimes it's pulling up the wrong listing. So they'll pass on it because it pulled up like an outdated listing, but then I scan it with the Amazon Seller app and it's worth like 90 bucks or like a 20,000 rank. It pulled the wrong listing. Happens like less than like 5% of the time. But just keep that in mind. No third-party app. I don't care what app it is, any company, there's gonna be issues because it's pulling from the Amazon API.
yeah, and I've actually had it happen even with Amazon Seller app where you scan a barcode and it pulls up something completely different. It's just the way they get registered, I guess. But.
Exactly. So in terms of dealing with the restrictions, I'm just kind of going through some of my notes now. There's not really much you can do with books. A lot of the categories, Paul, are becoming heavily restricted now. And it's happening. Why? More and more because there's more people taking advantage of the system. Bootleg people and fakes and counterfeits. And there's a war going on behind the scenes with some of these large textbook organizations. So there's a lot of different books out there. What types of books do I focus on? Mostly nonfiction. I like the weird, obscure, unique, really niche down stuff. Like if you take a look outside of textbooks, like this is a weird niche, like koi fish. What the heck? Like koi fish. Like here's another example. Koi fish. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Quilting. Oh, this is a really good tip for books to look out for. Look for the atlases. Yeah. Let's see how this is. Some of these books are my mom because I knew you were coming into town, and we put our books together. So this one right here, I want you to tell me what you see here, Paul. I want you to analyze this for me. What's happening here? How much did we pay for this book? I'm just making
showing a $2 buy cost.
Okay.
So $6.98 profit, $2.22 for rank, and $151 plus for the e-score.
Okay, cool. Now I want you to double check this for me on Amazon. Make sure what's going on here.
I'm not sure on your iPhone. Mine's a little bit different.
Oh,
because I use Android.
Oh, no, you're good. You can hit that. Sorry about that. And remember, there's multiple barcodes. I don't know if that pulled up
requires
the right
approval.
Oh, okay, so that's one thing that we can talk about in a second. But I'm going to have you click. Which listing do you think we should click?
Spiral bound.
Okay, let's click that. So there's this new thing that Amazon's doing, which is extremely annoying, okay? So there's a difference between requires approval and restricted. Restricted means you're pretty much screwed. There's this new thing now, Amazon started doing it like 3 weeks ago, where they're like requiring you to get eligibility to sell a certain book. And I'm curious, I'm gonna have you pull up your Amazon app. I wanna see if it does the same thing on yours. But you see right here where it says selling eligibility? Mm-hmm. Click that, okay? And then request approval. Okay, so you see this right here. You see how it's asking me to give documents? Mm-hmm. I can't sell this. But what normally will happen is it'll just auto approve you. It'll auto engage you. So I want to see what happens on your account. If it didn't for my account, it's not going to let you either because my account's older. But who knows in this crazy world? Yeah, hit request. 9 out of 10 times it'll auto approve you. So if it ever asks you for this, you know what they're asking for? A wholesale invoice. We can't provide that. My mom, she's freaking best friends with Jeff Bezos, so she's able to sell this. But nowadays, with a lot of books, it's requiring approval. Just click that button, and it'll just 9 out of 10 times auto approve you. I don't know why. They want you to get approved for a lot of books now. But 9 out of 10 times that book will just get auto approved. Let's scan this book right here. And I'm gonna kind of steal the show in this video, doing a lot of the scanning, because you know what, man, you are gonna get busy in the next video. You are gonna be wild. But I'm gonna have you click on this and I'm gonna have you analyze this for me a little bit. I want you to tell me what you see here. And remember, this is a used book. So share with me, what's the rank?
409,000.
What do you think about that?
We're looking at the profit of 43.64.
But what do you think about 409,000 rank? Like, how often do you think that sells? This is just a sign. This is just a estimate.
I guess like maybe every other month.
No, probably not that long. That's 400,000. It probably sold within the last week or so. Yeah, okay. It's not too bad. It could have sold a few days ago. This isn't a science. People are going to argue like this is like philosophy class. Like it's all up for interpretation, right?
Yeah.
It's a little more scientific, but 400,000 solid. Anything under $500,000 is pretty solid. Once it goes over 500,000, it's still good, but you got to be a little more careful. So,
and you only got 2 people on there for FBA. So.
Oh, now one thing to consider is you always want to check what the new price is, because you don't want to ever try to price a used price higher than new. Could it happen every now and then? Yes, but what's the new price of that book? You want to see a good range.
Nothing for FBA for new. But,
the merchants are 267, so that's a good sign. So used is how much?
56.80.
That's good. Now, what's the merchant jump to FBA? Because that's something to keep in mind, because the higher the rank, you have to be a little more cautious when that prime bump gets a little too crazy.
On the low side, they're down at 29.15.
Yeah, so from 29 to 56, that's like about a 45% jump. So that's a pretty significant jump.
Unless we're looking at accepting it's acceptable condition.
And then good, Paul. That was good. So that I didn't even think of that. So it's actually not as crazy as a jump, because it's not really a jump from 29 to 60. It's more of a jump from like 40 to 60, which now it's only like maybe a 30% jump or so, maybe less. So that's a really, really great thing you just did right there. You clicked in and you investigated a little bit. Great. Now, what I want to do is I want to jump over to ScoutIQ. Why? Because I want to get a little more information about this. You know what? This book is so nice. Like, this thing could probably get away as brand new. Look at this thing. What is that? What if we found money together? I'd split it with you. So let's scan this with ScoutIQ. Ooh, now we're learning a little bit more. What's the E-score of that?
9.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about a book only selling or having 9 days out of 6 months?
Well, I guess you have to kind of look at the type of book, and it's probably a...
Just look at the data. Who cares about the book?
Well, I mean, it's be concerning at that point, but...
Yeah, it's a little concerning. It's not terrible.
But, you know, there's only 2 FBA people on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Is that... Sometimes I don't trust ScoutIQ. Yeah, there's only 2 FBA. There's 14 merchants. Guess what? Who cares how many merchants there are? It's not even the same ball field. So that's a good sign. There's only 2 sellers. It's a 9 E-score. At this point, if you were if you had to, like, if I was sourcing this off of eBay, and because I do this a lot, and they were asking, maybe I can get it for 20. Oh, 2,000. I could possibly make $23, but I'd be a little more concerned because it only has a 9 E-score. So at that point, what I would do is I would take that next step to open this up on my desktop and look at the Keepa chart because I want to see what's going on over the price history. Are there some jumps that are going to be coming in the future? Right now we're in the middle of textbook season. Is this a textbook?
I think it is.
Yeah, so it's a little concerning that this thing's not selling like crazy right now because now's the time in September. But I would buy it all day long. I mean, this is a no-brainer purchase, especially if it's $3 or less. But when you start going to like maybe like a flea market or like maybe some type of consignment deal where you have to pay a bunch of money up front, or maybe even at a pawn shop, which you're probably not going to find this at a pawn shop, then you have to start using a bit more of your skill sets, like looking at Keepa charts, like kind of weighing out your risk versus reward. But for $3, you know, this is a no-brainer all day long. Let's find another book. Something, any book.
Yeah, cookbooks.
All right. So let's scan this. Look at that, 19 e-score, $3 buy cost, $23. Look, it still has the same rank at 400 as the other one, but it has much more sales, almost double the sales over a 6-month period. So that gives you a lot more confidence. If you scroll over to the Amazon and scan that, yeah, it looks like we got 5 offers at $39.95. It'll shoot out $27.21. If I put in my buy cost at $3, I'd make $23.45. So that's a winner chicken dinner all day long right there. Not too crazy of a prime jump from $38.43 to $39. The new price is at $123, so there's plenty of room right there. If the new price was at $30 and Amazon was at $30, that means the market hasn't adjusted to that price yet. You'd probably want to lower that price. But this is definitely a good book. So we got a couple more minutes for this video before it ends, but are there any questions that you have? Because we covered a lot. We talked about Amazon Seller App, ScoutIQ. We talked about pricing. We talked about condition, restricted books, risk versus reward. In the final 2 or 3 minutes, what are some questions you have before I send you out into the jungle, man?
Well, with ScoutIQ, if it's a book that comes up as a reject, is it like?
What do you mean reject? Oh, like it has.
It says don't buy it. But like, is it going to reject the book based on just one of the parameters not hitting it, or is it?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure of that answer. I'll have to dive into that, but it's probably one of the main. It's probably one of 2 things. It's probably either the profit. I would guess it's only one parameter, but maybe someone could help me in the comments. It's probably something to do with. It's definitely the profit based on the rank or the e-score. It's one of those things. So I trust it. And I didn't trust it at first. I would double check everything on like Amazon, and I would like go through and make sure. It's usually very, very accurate. The only thing you really have to look out for is if it's pulling the wrong listing. So if something looks interesting and then you scan out in ScoutIQ and you're like, what the heck, this doesn't make sense, go over to Amazon and just double check it.
Okay. So, but I mean, you kind of want to have the app running on your phone just because there might be something that's close, but might just
I have
fall
both
outside
of them up at all times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of jump back and forth. Yeah, so real quick, one thing I want to mention real quick, because I might be running out of time. Could you help me? I don't got the muscles to one-hand it. This is a box set. So these are two items. So this is an example of a box set where I would shrink wrap it. To find this, I'm going to go over to the Amazon Seller App. I'm going to scan this, and you're going to see a bunch of different listings. You got to be careful. So what I'll normally do is go to the lowest listing right here, which is $20.97, and click into that, and you can see what it's selling for. It's selling for $34. So the picture only shows one book, but the listing says 2 volumes set. So sometimes it's a little, I wanted to share that because sometimes it's a little kind of hard to know what's going on. But again, you'd stretch wrap this, put it around, and put the label on the outside. I don't want to show you any more books at this point because I want you to go out into the jungle and make some mistakes.
Okay.
How much time we got left, Zach?
About a minute.
A minute. Any final words, man, before you take your journey?
No. Ready to make a couple mistakes and learn from them, you know.
How you feel now? Overwhelmed? Or okay?
I think The app makes it pretty basic,
Okay.
you know, and then some of it can just kind of come down to your judgment call as to what you're okay with your profit.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Hey, brother, let's move into it. Let's do it. We'll see you guys in the next video.